Welcome to NFL World, where the NFL starts and ends. I'm your host, Jacob. And week 5 is in the books. As we're getting ready for week 6, let's recap what happened. As we had two 1 o'clock games between the Cowboys and Jets and Broncos and Eagles. And these games were really exciting at the end. But should it have been? Let's talk about the Cowboys and Jets first. Cowboys winning the game 37-22. The Cowboys steamrolled the Jets. Like, the score is not indicative of what happened. Dak Prescott, 237 for touchdowns. Javonte Williams, 16 carries, 135 yards, a touchdown. He also caught a touchdown. Ryan Flanoy, 6 catches, 114 yards. Now, before I jump into the Jets stats, who is Ryan Flanoy? Ryan Flanoy is the 6th wide receiver the Cowboys have. Because the Cowboys are so injured at wide receiver, with no CeeDee Lamb, no Kevontae Turpin, who also doubles as the kick returner and punt returner. Jonathan Mingo's on IR. It was the Ryan Flanoy, Jalen Tolbert, and George Pickens show over here. And Ryan Flanoy came to play. He was making moves over here. It was wild. He was had complete trust in him and played very well. If you look at the Jets, their stats don't look bad. But I'll tell you after how this game went, and I just have to talk about the second half or the second quarter at the end of the second quarter before I even talk about the second half stuff. Justin Fields, 283, 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall, 14 carries, 113 yards. Garrett Wilson, 6 catches, 71 yards, a touchdown. Most of that all happened in the second half in garbage time, except the Breece Hall stuff. So the Cowboys do have to address, it's the second time, back-to-back weeks, this has happened to them, where they haven't been able to stop the running back. Josh Jacobs the week before, now Breece Hall. Get it addressed. Figure it out. But they did stop Justin Fields from he had like 7 rushes for like 26 yards. He couldn't do anything. So there you go. That's a positive. But I want to talk about that last 2 minutes of second quarter. Dallas. Okay, let's start more in the beginning. Jets are driving. It's a 10-3 score. Jets are driving. Breece Hall breaks off a big run, and it looks like it's either going to be a first and goal from the way he was going. It didn't look like the Cowboys were going to be able to tackle him. Or if they did, it was going to be 1 first down, now first and goal. That's where they were. And Breece Hall fumbles. For the second consecutive week, a running back for the Jets fumbled. Second time. This is embarrassing. Last week they fumbled in the goal line. This week they fumbled in the red zone. Like, those things, when you fumble in the red zone, it's bad. When you fumble in the red zone and near the goal line, it's worse. So back-to-back weeks they've had those mistakes. That cannot happen. Especially with the Cowboys offense, which is very explosive. And Dallas goes right down the field, scores a touchdown. They kick the ball back to the Jets. Jets can't do anything. They punt it back. The Cowboys have like 30 seconds. So to put in the question here, the Jets basically had the ball for, I think it was like 15 seconds, and they had to punt. They gave the Cowboys the ball back, and then you're saying, okay, maybe the Cowboys can get back in the field goal range, kick a field goal, go in with the score 20-3. Well, the Jets can't tackle. One of the biggest issues, we'll get into it. Javonte Williams, 66-yard run, gets pushed out of the 2-yard line. Cowboys capitalized with the Jake Ferguson touchdown, his second of the day, putting this game pretty much out of reach in the first half. And then it was just for an over and over again. The Jets gave up 2 touchdowns in 42 seconds. The Cowboys scored 13 points in 42 seconds. That's bad. And this Jets defense, like I said, they can't tackle. They can't do anything. They don't get pressure, not just against the Dolphins. This is the second consecutive week they didn't get pressure. And this was worse because it was against the backup offensive line of the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys had one starter on the offensive line plan. Their left tackle, guard, center, and right guard were all out. They were playing their 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th offensive linemen, and the Jets still could not get pressure. That is horrible when you have Quinnen Williams on your team and he has one pressure all day against backup offensive linemen. That's a problem. They did not sack Dak Prescott. There was one sack in the game. That was because Dak slid down behind the line of scrimmage to just keep the clock running. And that was in the fourth quarter. They could not get after him. They had gave up, I think, 4 pressures all night or all game. Like that was it. They couldn't do anything against this Cowboys offensive line. The run game the Cowboys had, they couldn't do anything against it. They couldn't stop this Cowboys passing offense. Jake Ferguson had 2 touchdowns. Ryan Flanoy had 100 yards. George Pickens had 3 catches because they put Sauce Gardner on him. But he had 3 catches was it 2 catches on 3 targets, I believe is what was happening. It was like 2 catches on 4 targets for 50 yards, including a touchdown, which was like a 43-yarder. And that was in the third quarter. Like, there was nothing they could do. It's just bad. And you brought in Aaron Glenn to fix this defense because you fired Robert Saleh, which was not a good choice. Your defense really fell apart. Then you bring in Aaron Glenn, who's a culture guy and a defensive guy, and this defense can't do anything. They're bad. They can't stop the run. They don't tackle well. They don't force pressure. They don't do anything. And it's bad. It's really bad. Their secondary is not great either. The Jets are 0-5. Aaron Glenn becomes the first coach in Jets history, and the Jets have a long history to go 0-5. This is a history that has Adam Gate, Rich Kotite, Lou Holtz, Pete Carroll, Belichick briefly. Rex Ryan was one of the better coaches they had. Parcells was one of the better coaches they had. You can go all the way back to Weeb Eubank, and this never happened. And he becomes the first coach in NFL history, Aaron Glenn does, becomes the first coach in NFL history to go 0-5 and his team not have a single takeaway. How does that happen? How does that happen? They can't get pressure. They can't force takeaways. They fumble the ball. They have 9 fumbles. They've only recovered 2 of them. They can't do anything. When you're trying to preach, go after them, go make a play, go make a play, go make a play, and you can't do it, that's a problem. There is a massive, massive problem. It's not just your offense. It's your defense. Your whole team is bad. What do? Do you fire your defensive coordinator? Do you get rid of some of these players? What do? You got to do something because at some point, something's going to change. Something has to change because it's not getting better. You got to give props to the Cowboys. They played well. They got 5 sacks. They only had 5 sacks all year. They had 5 sacks in this game. You got to give credit where it's due. But this is more on the Jets than it is on the Cowboys, in my opinion. Let's jump to the Broncos and Eagles, who the Eagles, again, struggled in the second half. I thought this was like every week there was going to be a little different scenario. They were going to be great in the first half and terrible in the second half, or terrible in the first half, great in the second half. Nope, they were just bad all game, but they were terrible in the second half. Somehow, they were more worse in the second half than they were in the first. I don't know how. Jalen Hurts, 280 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. That led to Devontae Smith, 8 catches on 14 yards. Goddard had a touchdown. Saquon had a touchdown through the air. Saquon Barkley on the ground had 6 carries. 6 for 30 yards. He had 3 catches and a touchdown. He had like 90 yards together, but they're not giving him the football. They dropped back 29 times. 5 carries for Saquon Barkley in the first half, 1 in the second half. They are not handing him the ball. And I understand you want to appease everybody. You want to appease A.J. Brown. You want to appease Devontae Smith. You want to appease Saquon. You want to appease Dallas Scott. You want to appease this guy, appease this guy, appease this guy. At some point, you got to go say something. And this is on Sirianni. He has to go. He has to sit all those guys down, all the offensive weapons. He's got to sit them down. He's got to sit Jalen Hurts down. He's got to sit the offensive coordinator down. And they all have to sit in his office and just hash it out. You want to win games? You hand the ball to Saquon. You want to lose games? Force Jalen Hurts to throw the ball 30 times. Because that's what's happening. And I know Saquon hasn't been perfect. Like, this offensive line is not the same and they're having a hard time to run the football. I get it. But you were winning games last year because you dominated time of possession and you ran the ball. And you enforced your will onto someone else. That's what you did. You didn't throw the ball much. You threw maybe 15 times a game. Now you had Jalen Hurts throw the ball 29 times. And Saquon only had 6 carries. That should never happen. You also didn't score in the fourth quarter again. That cannot happen. It's a week after week after week. They haven't played good. I give them a break on the Cowboy game. That was week 1. Week 1's always tough. They're always tough. You try and get your legs underneath them. A lot of these guys don't play in preseason. I get it. The game against the Chiefs wasn't particularly close. It was close to the end on the scoreboard, but it wasn't particularly that close. The game against the Rams, they had a bad first half. The game against the Buccaneers, they had a great first half, but a bad second half. This game, they were bad all game, but they had a really bad second half. The Broncos only scored 18 points in the fourth quarter alone. They couldn't do anything. Let me explain the situation. 5 minutes left to go in the game. Broncos are marching. They run a play action boot. Throw the ball to Bo Nix, throws it to Evan Ingram, who scores a touchdown. The game is 17-16. Anyone would say they're going to kick the extra point, try to tie the game up, get the ball back to their offense, and the defense has to get the ball back to the offense and hope they can march down and kick a game winner. That's what you were trying to do. Sean Payton's like, no, let's go for it. So he went for it, and they got it, making it 18-17. Then the Eagles can't do anything on offense. The Denver defense gets the ball back to the Denver offense. They end up kicking a field goal, giving the Eagles the ball back with it was under a minute left. No team has timeouts. The Eagles, and there's one play where Devontae Smith is in front of A.J. Brown. They're like this. So this is Devontae Smith. This is A.J. Brown. The ball is a Hail Mary. They throw it up. And it looks like A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith both get their hand on the ball, knock it away from each other. It looked more like A.J. Brown knocked it away from Devontae Smith. It was just one of those plays you're like, what is going on? He knocks it away. The ball flutters out of bounds after it gets pushed out, deflected out by a Broncos defender. And that's how the Chiefs that's how you expect the Chiefs to lose sometimes. The Eagles lost that way. And yeah, you can say, well, there was the pass interference that wasn't called. I get that. But you are going to get unfavorable calls sometime. That you can't. The Eagles did not deserve to win that game at all. The fact you're even in that situation proves that you have a lot of problems. You have a lot of problems when you can't score in the fourth quarter, and you have to have it. Maybe this is a reset because they haven't played good in recent weeks. But the Broncos, it was a big time win. Bo Nix, 242, a touchdown. J.K. Dobbins, 20 carries for 79 yards, touchdown. Cortland Sutton, 8 catches, 99 yards. Can't deny it. It is what it is. But at some point, you have to say, you need a reset if you're the Eagles. Have Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Saquon Barkley, Dallas Goedert, you, the head coach, Nick Sirianni, offensive coordinator, and go talk and figure out what you got to do. Because you got to do something to move forward. This isn't working. Figure it out, or it's going to be a lot of this all year, and it's not sustainable. Speaking of not sustainable, the Baltimore Ravens losing to the Houston Texans in the way they did was not very sustainable. Like for the Ravens, like you cannot play this way. Losing the game 44-10 to the Houston Texans. Cooper Rush 179 yards, no touchdowns. Derrick Henry 15 carries, 33 yards, a touchdown. That touchdown ties Walter Payton. I believe that's fourth most all time. So congratulations to Derrick Henry. But he averaged it was like 2.3 yards on the ground. It's not great. It's not great. Needs to be addressed. Figure this out. Zay Flowers, 5 catches, 72 yards. Cowboys fans know this about Cooper Rush. He's not, if you're going to ask him to throw the ball for over 200 yards and try to get your offense to score 24 plus points, it's not going to happen. He's just not that guy. The Cowboys fans know this. They would score 20 and hope the opposing team only scored 14 or 17 points. It's what they were hoping for. And it was every time. I know that. I've watched enough football. I've seen it. This is what it is. CJ Stroud looked like he was a rookie quarterback again. 244 4 touchdowns. Nick Chubb, 11 carries, 61 yards, a touchdown. Christian Kirk, 4 catches, 64 yards. I know the Ravens are injured beyond repair at this point, but you can't just say it's John Harbaugh. This entire team isn't very good. Do you blow it up? No. You don't blow it up. Not yet. But this isn't good. This is not good. You had Kyle Van Noy in this game, and I don't know if he really did anything. It was bad. It was not a good enough performance for the Baltimore Ravens. Like I said, don't blow it up quite yet. Don't even think about blowing it up. But at this point, address it. Figure something out. You're 1-4 and you're losing fast. You can't afford that. You're losing ground. That's not gonna make it easy. You're lucky that everyone in the division lost except the Steelers. They were on bye week. The Bengals losing to the Lions was the best thing that could happen to you because the Lions winning the game 37-24. Goff 258, 3 touchdowns. David Montgomery 18 carries, 65 yards, a touchdown. He also threw for a touchdown in his home state, in his hometown. He grew up in Cincinnati, born and raised. Amon-Ra St. Brown 8 catches, 100 yards. This Lions team I thought was going to score more. Honestly, they've won 4 in a row. They've run the ball well. Gibbs also had a touchdown. It was a great performance, great job all around. Jake Browning, though, in the beginning of this game was not very good. They turned the ball over. They were making mistakes. They did not play well. But he got it back together. 251, 3 touchdowns. He also led them in rushing, 4 carries, 31 yards. Jamar Chase, 6 catches, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns. At some point, you just got to say, throw it to the 2 receivers you have. And Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Throw it to them. It's going to work. Throw it to you. Get your 2 best players the ball. That's Jamar Chase. That's T. Higgins. Get them the ball. They'll make it work. Everything else is not going to work. Let them go to work. That's what you're going to have to do. Because this team isn't good enough unless you do that. Get the ball to those guys. Figure out a way to get them the ball. You made it a game at the end. You scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. But was that all for show? Or is that because you that's the team that you're gonna beat? Who knows? But right now, you're 2-3. But it's like a terrible 2-3. It doesn't look like 2-3. It doesn't feel that way, in my opinion. This game against the Patriots and Bills, though, I don't know how to explain it. It was sloppy. It was very sloppy, I guess is the best way I can describe it. The Patriots winning the game 23-20. Drake May, 273 yards. Henderson, 6 carries, 24 yards. Stephon Diggs looked like he was back in Minnesota. He had 10 catches, 146 yards. Josh Allen, 253, 2 touchdowns. Allen led them in rushing with 9 carries, 53 yards. Kincaid, 6 catches, 108 yards. Multiple fumbles, including a Josh Allen interception where he forces the ball. Those things cannot happen to you. And I say this every week. We say this all the time. No quarterback should lead your team in rushing. It's not a recipe for success. And it's not. It's not a recipe for success. You can't win that way. And the Bills, they fumbled a lot in this game. The Patriots did it also, but you're the Bills. And since that game against Miami, yes, you won the game, but at one point you were tied. Can't happen. I thought, okay, maybe they got off that schneid in a way. But they played the Saints last week and they were really bad. I thought the Bills were going to win by 10 in this game, and they lost because they were really bad. Hopefully, this is a reset, but when the two 4-0 teams fall to lesser competition because they don't play well, you have to reset at some point. You have to make a reset. And that's what both the Bills and Eagles need to do. Now, to finish up, we got Monday Night Football. And this is the reason I didn't record this video yesterday. I wanted to wait for the Monday Night Football game. Say it. If I'm the Chiefs, they're not very good right now. They're not playing well. It feels like it's Mahomes save us all the time. And it's not a comfortable feeling. Mahomes, 318 yards and 1 touchdown. 6 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown for Patrick Mahomes. He led them in rushing. I just said, when a quarterback leads you in rushing, that's a bad sign. Tyquan Thornton, 3 catches, 90 yards. That was the Chiefs. The Jaguars, it's 221 and a touchdown for Trevor Lawrence. 10 carries for 54 yards and 2 touchdowns for Trevor Lawrence on the ground. Brian Thomas had 4 catches, 80 yards. But let me tell you something. Again, the quarterback shouldn't lead you in rushing yards. I don't think that's a recipe for success. But when you see the Chiefs play sometimes, it does feel like they don't play a certain style well enough. Like, I was looking at the Chiefs, how they were playing. It was frustrating to watch. They get the ball in the fourth quarter. 7 minutes ago, they're going down the field. They have the ball at the 2-minute warning. They're on the other side of the field. They're on the Jaguar side of the field. And they score a touchdown. And I think it was like a minute left, like a minute 30 left. And the Jaguars had a situation in the second quarter where they could have had like a minute 30 left. And all they would have had to do was burn a timeout. And they didn't. Here, they get the ball. They have like a minute 30. They go down this field. And Trevor Lawrence put this team on his back. And they end up scoring a touchdown. And getting the extra point. And then getting the ball back to very with some time, very little time left, and then he's having to throw close to 70 yards to get this ball to the end zone, and he can't do it. I think the heat obviously did bother the Chiefs a little bit. The weather did cause issues, but there was a lot of issues in this game. They failed the Hail Mary, and that was the end of the game, but they were not playing well. And that defense, I said this earlier, it doesn't feel like the Chiefs were like this last year on offense, but their defense was good enough that they weren't bending all the time. They were making good plays. They give their offense the ball back. This game proves to what I was seeing, which was the Chiefs' defense is not as good as it's been in years past, and we see that. The Chiefs' offense is not going to be able to make those mistakes. They made a mistake. They're near the goal line, about to punch it in for a touchdown, and Mahomes doesn't look like it's a simple read. I was watching the Manning cast, which I'll have 1 second. I want to talk about that as well. Where if the center goes to one direction, the linebacker on the other side will blitz, and the other linebacker will drop out. That's what happened. The center looks to Devin Lloyd. The other linebacker blitzes. Lloyd drops out, and they're trying to throw the ball to Juju and Kelsey in that window. And it gets picked off. It's returned for a touchdown, which was a big part of the game because the Jaguars were trying to find a play that they could try to make a play on defense, and they made it. It was a big like that was a big switch that flipped from the Jaguars defense. It gave the offense. It's like, okay, like our defense is going to give us chances in this game, and they did. But I do want to say this, sir, and I'm concerned about this Chiefs defense right now. It has to be fixed. Chris, the amount of effort that's been shown, especially at the end of games, it's not ideal. It needs to be fixed. When your best players like Chris Jones, Drew Tranquil, Karlaftis are not performing to the level they need to perform and aren't going with that same amount, it looks like they're giving up sometimes, and it's not a good sign. It's not good for now, and it's not good for later in the year. And it's the reason where they are right now, in my opinion. They are a 2-3 team, but they play sometimes like the Chiefs' offense is going to have to play perfect, and the Chiefs' defense is going to say, okay, we're going to try not to give up 20 if you score 20. Because it feels the same like last year. The Chiefs have a hard time to score 20 plus. Because the defense is going to give up 20 plus. And is this team able to handle that? Right now, the answers are no. Maybe it changes. Maybe there's adjustments made, which there will be. Spagnuolo is the best at it. But they need to do something, and they need to do it quickly. Because they are losing ground. You didn't just lose to the Jaguars, which is an AFC opponent. You lost to a team that they're 3-1. Now they got the edge on you again. They already had an edge because of their better record. Now they actually beat you. You got to address that. The one moment I want to talk about for the Manningcast, and it's just a gripe from my side of it. I know they put all these actors on TV, and it's great. Like I love that they put actors, they put people from SNL, they put all these people. I get it. When you say you're gonna put a fan on who is an actor and who everyone knows, like there's certain people that you put on that understand the game. Yet sometimes it feels like for the Manning cast, they just try to put the person on and they teach him football doing. It's like it feels like I don't have those books that it'd be like such and such for dummies. That's what it feels like. It feels like that having they dumb it down to make it look like the actor knows more of what he's talking about or what she's talking about. And maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm completely misinterpreting it, but at some point it does feel that way. That these actors, they're just, you can tell, it just feels like in some ways it's insulting to our intelligence. That's what it feels like. It's insulting to our intelligence because you're having people go on who they know very little about the game, or they know the game a little bit, but are now being put in the situation where they don't know how to react, and so it comes off worse. But maybe that's just my opinion. I don't know, but it does feel that way to me. Let me know in the comments. Are the Chiefs still the Chiefs, or is there a big amount of aggression? Let me know in the comments. For NFL World, I'm Jacob Hebert. Out.